he was really in the middle because, like you said, it's young people. They are Israel critical, and he had to go and defend the bullshit of them at the campus, in the arena, in the pit.
Now you can't interview him.
Right.
And because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be involved?
People are now uncovering shocking details about Charlie Kirk's wife and the role she may have played in what happened to him. Charlie seemed to know something bad was coming, and now reports are spreading online suggesting that there were people who wanted him gone and replaced. Those closest to Charlie, the ones he trusted most, were the very ones who turned against him.
Trump administration. I said a boulevard in Israel. It's pretty clear, not clear. What she said was, they, the Fed, give you a boulevard when that's a sure sign that they have killed. You know that they have killed. He was betrayed in the worst way possible, giving so much of his life to the Trump presidency, to politics. The federal government, the Trump administration, Charlie Kirk is the claim. Now I'm going to tell you how I feel about it, what I think about it, because you know who else would have to be involved? And this is the implication, of course, by design, and you can see the response with people out there saying, oh, well, then anyone who's close to, this is an inside job. You know who's really close to President Trump, and you know who people are now saying stood to gain? Well, Charlie's wife, Erica Kirk, who has now been put, Candace, with that language, with this accusation, has put the wife of Charlie Kirk, and she'll say, that's not what I tried to do. It is. It's the result. Erica Kirk in the crosshairs. It's not like you have to look through 6 degrees of separation.
It's becoming clearer that someone wanted Charlie out of the picture. And when you start connecting everything that led up to his death, the whole situation starts to make sense. Candace Owens, who was one of Charlie's closest friends, said that he already knew betrayal was coming. And sadly, that's exactly what happened. His death wasn't random. It was planned from the start, and it all seemed to be part of a move to replace him. And now that Charlie's gone, Erica and Ben Shapiro have stepped in and taken control.
Widow of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is taking over the organization her husband helped to establish. Erica Kirk was officially named as CEO of Turning Point USA by the group's board. In a post on social media today, the board said the organization will carry on and not surrender to evil. Charlie Kirk was fatally shot during an open-air event on the campus of Utah Valley University on September 10th. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson is charged in his case. Charlie Kirk co-founded Turning Point USA in 2012. The group is credited with energizing the youth vote in Donald Trump's 2024 presidential election victory.
Love you, Erica. Charlie, 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 Charlie. Love you, Erica. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie.
Charlie's death was never really looked into the way it should have been, and now reports are coming out that Egyptian military contractors landed at Provo Airport on the exact same day Charlie Kirk was killed. People are asking why an Egyptian government Gulfstream jet was even there that day, and what connection it might have to what happened to Charlie.
I can now report to you that it is a fact that on 9/4, there were, this was not some dropping by in Utah as they were trying to claim because the plane needed to be serviced. That's what they ran with. They ran with, this could have been a routine servicing. I guess there's just no place from Egypt all the way to Utah that an Egyptian military plane can get a tire changed. This is totally routine, nothing you see here. Well, I'm telling you that for a fact, that plane was carrying military subcontractors. And for a fact, they were dropped off in Provo, okay? And that they did not make it back to Cairo. I showed you the plane left. They left on September 10th. It then laid over in Wilmington, Delaware, and departed back for Cairo on the 11th. I am telling you that when that plane left, okay, those people were mysteriously missing from that plane, okay? What's going on here? Why are Egyptian military subcontractors, what are Egyptian military subcontractors doing in the middle of Provo, Utah on the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
This might sound completely wild, but honestly, it makes more sense than the idea that some random guy with zero experience could just grab an old World War II weapon and pull off such a precise shot.
His grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Why? Wait. Why are you using such an old? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is it possible that an old can be that accurate? If you have a smith and they work on it, yeah, it's totally possible. You have a really good smith and he sets. If you're like a nostalgic person, you like driving an old car, you can bring it to a mechanic. They can redo the brakes.
Sure.
So if you got a good smith and he took a look at that and the action was true, and the bore is good, yeah, you could conceivably with it for hundreds of years, right? They don't necessarily go bad.
Right, they don't expire.
Right, and especially because all the stuff like the trigger and the action and all that different stuff is replaceable. So you can just it's compartmentalized. It's components. That's the other thing. They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the f up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not going to fit. Not going to fit.
In a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What? What's that about?
Is that what they pitched, huh?
Yeah. And then he's supposed to get it in that stupid backpack. It's literally, it makes no sense.
And the elevator music was a nice touch, by the way.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
So this is just a narrative.
The man the feds first arrested as a decoy seemed suspicious from the start. It's hard to believe that some random person suddenly came forward saying, "I did it right," after someone got killed, and then that same person just happened to get arrested right after on unrelated charges. None of it adds up, and the whole thing feels staged.
You hope that Charlie Kirk's death won't be used by a group we now call bad actors to create a society that was the opposite of the one he worked to build. You hope that. You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever, and there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes. Not to hurt other people, but to express his view.
Charlie's death is now being used to push a political agenda. Everything Charlie and Turning Point USA stood for is being wiped away, and the very things Charlie strongly opposed are now being done under his name as if he would have ever agreed with any of it.
Show generally they were still aligned. More interesting was his interview with Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
Where clearly he platformed Tucker and you, and it seemed that supporting Israel was in contention, which they hate that that's even on the table, because it matters how you set the table. It doesn't necessarily even matter what your position is, but they don't want that to be up for debate. Do we support Israel? Not a question they want people to ask.
Well, especially when you're losing the debate.
Yes.
That doesn't help either.
Yeah, especially when you get booed and, the debate, they don't like that either. And so even that, they were really pushing back on Charlie, threatening. I guess the new revelation is they took the money. They took the $2 million. It's a pretty big organization, but that's not a negligible chunk of change for Charlie and Turning Point USA. And he goes in the group chat, and assuming, like you said, that it's authentic, that is, I think, the most stark thing we've heard from him on the record, where he says, I have to leave the Israel camp. And I would say that's even different than what he said on Megyn Kelly. Because on Megyn Kelly, he said, oh, you're going to call me an anti-Semite? He sort of stopped himself. He said, well, you're going to lose me. That's what he was going towards.
Yeah,
you're not going to lose me. He goes, but I'm going to be deflated. In that text, he says, I'm out. And I would characterize that as I was his rival, and I'm very cynical about him. He was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. He was really in the middle because like you said, it's young people. They are Israel critical. And he had to go and defend the bull to them at the campus, in the arena, in the pit.
One more thing rather explosively. 3 people who told me off record, 2 people who have this in a written communication from Charlie, one who is a Turning Point USA donor, and I would say very much one of the white knights in this. The very day before Charlie Kirk died, he expressed that he thought he was going to be killed. He told these people, I think they're going to kill me. Okay. He did not express that to me. So I am telling you this based off the testimony of 3 people. And I am saying this because I hope that these people who I think are good will be inspired to come forward with that. Now, again, those conversations I had were off record. I honor that. If I say it's off record, it stays off record. But I'm hoping that watching what I am doing and feeling the energy that is rising across the world for people who want to know what the heck happened on 9/10, that, you know, they will be brave and they will say, yeah, Charlie did the day before he died think that he was going to be, and maybe tell us, who is they? Well, for once and for all, who is they? Who is the they that he thought were going to?
Right after Charlie passed, his wife held a memorial where she kept talking about how she was going to take charge after him and carry on what she is called the real mission of Turning Point. But the question is, what exactly was that mission? Because Charlie had started to drift away from his earlier views and was becoming more and more critical of Israel. Candace Owens even shared text messages from him saying he felt like he was being controlled and couldn't speak freely.
I take the start of this show to address some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friends' trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people.
Turning Point USA has confirmed that those text messages were real and that Charlie did send them even in his interviews. Charlie was open about feeling like he was being controlled and made to say things he didn't truly believe. Just a month before he died, he spoke with Megyn Kelly and admitted he was scared of his Israeli donors, saying he felt like he was walking through a minefield trying to keep both his backers and his audience happy at the same time.
They are trying to replace Usha Vance with Erica Kirk, because Erica Kirk and JD Vance is their Christian nationalist wet dream. And you won't convince me otherwise. Because what is this? What is this body language? When did we start putting our hands up in the hair of our friends when we hug? Yeah, no. You don't. This is weird. Oh, and then there's this one. JD, why are your hands so low? There's no reason for them to be on her hips, but there they are. But if that's not enough, here is her introducing him at Turning Point.
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend and his wife. They are incredible. And I see no one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do.
And if you're not convinced yet that they're trying to replace her with Erica Kirk, this is him when asked by a student about him and his wife's difference in their religious beliefs. And he ends it with this.
Do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
He wants her to fall in line. He wants her to be a Christian nationalist, just like him. And if he can't convince her, He'll find
Just hours after Charlie's death, the hashtag Utah cover-up started trending online. People began wondering if Tyler was just a scapegoat or if someone was actually helping him. Someone close to Charlie clearly turned against him, and when you start connecting all the dots, it becomes pretty clear who that person really was.
We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time.
People, this was so arranged. And there's so much more to Erica Kirk. Kind of like how she was all into basketball, didn't want to be all girly, never liked to dress up, even cut all her hair off and ended up being Miss USA. How does that happen? How do you go from sports to Miss USA? And then they meet at a Turning Point event in 2018, where she's interviewing for a job for Turning Point. Solidified. I got a feeling there's more to this.
People started analyzing everything about Erica after Charlie's death. Her body language, the way she behaved, even how she grieved, and many felt it all looked rehearsed. Even the story of how she met Charlie and her whole background started to seem questionable. One person on Twitter wrote that when the truth about Erica Kirk finally comes out, everyone's minds will be blown, because poor Charlie never really knew who he was married to, and that these people are some of the strangest out there.
Because either the epitome of what it means to be a MAGA woman who dumbs herself down and minimizes her success in the name of the man and the movement, or she is a honeypot. Because there's been speculations that Kash Patel is in a honeypot relationship. And that would kind of make sense, right? Like, you want to keep those guys close. You want to keep those guys together. You want to keep those guys controlled, right? If you don't know what a honeypot is, it's normally when a very attractive woman is used to control, manipulate, keep an eye on, guide a man, right? Erica Kirk has a law degree. She has a doctorate. She has 2 bachelor's degrees. She's 5 years older than Charlie. She had a successful basketball career in college. She had a successful pageantry career. And then in 2018, she runs into Charlie Kirk for the first time, and then they're very, very quickly married within, I think it's like 3 years or whatever. First of all, they've only been together for 7. I've keep seeing people say they've been floating around for like 10 years or whatever. They haven't. They've only been together for 7 years. This isn't some godly, long, profound, relationship that a lot of these people, they bring these people in MAGA, the high school sweethearts, whatever. She's either dumbed herself down to fit the narrative of what it means to be a MAGA woman, or she's a honeypot. Who else runs honeypot operation?
There were even rumors floating around that Erica might have been a honeypot, someone intentionally placed in Charlie's life to trap him. Some people claimed she wasn't there by chance at all, but was purposely planted to get close to him and keep tabs on everything he did.
A wrenching moment. Charlie Kirk's widow whispers her final goodbye to her slain husband in his casket.
I love you. God bless you.
She shared her unimaginable grief in a video diary that included showing his casket being placed in the hearse for its final journey. Today, 36-year-old Erica is being compared with another young widow, Jackie Kennedy, who famously returned to Washington still wearing the suit covered in JFK's blood following his assassination in 1963. Erica also stood next to her late husband's empty chair in the studio where he recorded his popular podcast.
She spoke about the heartbreaking moments she had to tell their 3-year-old daughter Gigi that her father was never coming back.
She goes, "Where's Daddy? What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, "Baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus."
Choking back tears, she said she was taking on Kirk's political movement, Turning Point USA.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
Arizona. Erica is no stranger to the spotlight. She is a former Miss Arizona, competing in the Miss USA pageant in 2012.
Erica Frosby,
23, Arizona.
She also appeared on a dating show in 2019, season 3 of Bravo TV's Summer House.
Charlie was never the kind of person to give up control of Turning Point USA, but now someone who completely follows the official narrative is running things at the same time. The investigation into Charlie's death has pretty much disappeared, and what's strange is that ever since Kash Patel became the head of the FBI, it feels like every criminal suddenly has their confession typed out on bullets.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime.
Law enforcement fired sniper rifles at ICE agents and me, but I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually. He said, "How the hell did you make that turn?" I said, "I don't know."
The way Donald Trump reacted to Charlie's death didn't sit right with a lot of people. Remember, Charlie had dedicated his entire career to supporting Trump and spreading his message. Yet when Charlie died, Trump made jokes about it and even said he didn't really care. He was even seen dancing at the memorial right beside Charlie's widow, which many found cold and disrespectful.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie. How are you holding up for the last 3.5 years? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started. So it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually.
Thank you so much.
Your message.
One person on Twitter pointed out that Charlie spent over a decade working non-stop to support Donald Trump, helping energize young voters and pushing conservative causes. But after his death, once it became clear that Charlie couldn't be used politically anymore, Trump barely acknowledged him. He gave Charlie just a brief mention before turning the spotlight back on himself and promoting his new White House ballroom.
When Trump rushed to tweet out that, or Truth Social out that photo, that AI photo of him and Charlie with the Star of David in the background, I just knew. I knew the investigation into who murdered Charlie Kirk was officially over. Right? The officials wanted nothing to do with it because there was nobody more psychotically insistent that people stop asking questions about Charlie's death immediately. I mean, early hours, right? More than the people that are dedicated to the Israel lobby, right? These individuals, if you go back, people that are pro-Israel for whatever reason, were like, do not look any further into this death. In fact, I'll challenge you, do me a favor. Find me one.
Candace Owens believes that people at the very top levels of government were involved in what happened to Charlie. She says that his true message was hidden and his image was reshaped to appear more supportive of Israel than he actually was. The most shocking part of all this is that Charlie actually predicted his own death. Candace Owens revealed that he had written a private memo that was never meant to be seen by anyone else, where he laid out his fears about foreign influence creeping into Turning Point itself. She said, Charlie wasn't afraid for his life, but he sensed that something big and dangerous was on the way. On her radio show, Megyn Kelly shared that just days before Charlie's death, the website Jezebel published an article where writers claimed they had placed a curse on him. They said witches had been hired to spiritually destroy him, and one even sent in a burned photo of Charlie's face as proof that the ritual had been done. The article bragged that ruining his life with what they called the collective feminist power of the Etsy coven would be their greatest joy. The big question everyone keeps asking is if Charlie was targeted, then who was really pulling the strings behind the scenes, according to Candace Owens? It went far beyond politics and media rivals. She claimed there's a powerful hidden network that controls who rises and who gets taken down, and when someone steps out of line, they're quietly removed. Her claims sent shockwaves across social media. Some people praised her for speaking up, while others thought she had gone way too far. Charlie Kirk may be gone, but the mystery around his final days just keeps growing. What really happened to him? Who stood to gain the most? And why are so many people working so hard to keep the truth buried? Let me know what you think, because this story is far from over, and it feels like the real answers are only just starting to surface. If you're just as shocked by everything we've uncovered, make sure you stick around, because I'm diving even deeper into this story hit that follow, and keep watching Taylor Tells All, where we break down the truths they don't want you to know.